Hello everyone, this is Prem Kumar. In this video, I'm going to talk about the newly released Pega version, Pega 8.8. I hope you must have seen this in a lot of LinkedIn posts maybe, the new features which we get in Pega 8.8. So here in this video, I'm just going to give you a brief summary. I will also explain you by logging into the Designer Studio and show what are the new changes that comes with the new release. On a short highlight, I would like to mention three important changes. The first is with the AI. In the last 8.7 version, Pega introduced this process AI, and in 8.8 they also introduced some more additional updates to this process AI. So a lot of concentration was done into this process AI, and one such important thing is like when you go to App Studio as a citizen developer, you can get help by using the AI. It means like a kind of a chatbot or it kind of a helper, a developer helper. You have a left panel where it is going to suggest you how to do the development. What are the best practices? What are the checklists which you can follow? That I'm going to show you, but that is one of the main important change with this 8.8 so that it can easily facilitate the low code development for the citizen developers. The next is on the data visualization. We already know that even in the 8.7 versions, Pega invested a lot of things in the data visualization where you can have some colorful charts into the dashboards or into some other different representation, the data representation. And in 8.8 also, Pega has done some drastic changes or a lot of improvements were done onto this data visualization or the dashboard stuffs. And finally, Pega also moving more towards the microservices concept. It means like a lot of services which are embedded into the Pega platform are moving out of the Pega platform. For example, the Kafka, the Elasticsearch, everything is going to be like an external services. They are not going to be like an embedded services. Still, Pega do support in 8.8, but in the 8.9 and 8.10, it's not going to be there. But we are going to see all these in extensively together with some more important updates. But before going into the detail, I just want to talk about my Pega masterclass, where I have drafted a lot of lectures covering different Pega development topics. Currently, the course is available in Udemy as well as my self-hosting platform. If you like my way of presentation, if you like my way of teaching or doing some lectures, definitely you can try out the course and it is going to help you for sure. I have provided the links in the description of this video. Kindly do check it and let's connect closely in the course. Okay, now the Pega 8.8 features. The first is on the low code development. There are some new changes that comes with the App Studio. The first main change, as I already told in the introduction, is about the developer assistant. I'm going to quickly show you what are the assistants a citizen developer can get when he logged into the App Studio. So here I have logged in into the App Studio of 8.8 version. Now if you go to the top panel, there you get an icon to toggle the developer assistant. Just click on it, then you get the developer assistant stuff. Something is getting loaded. As I can see, there are 4 tabs. One is the guidance tab. Then I have knowledge tab, work tab, checklist tab. Let's check each of them. In the guidance tab, I can already see that based on the screen which is loaded, as you can see, there are some charts are there, the applications details are there. So I already get some guidance about it. For example, you see here, it is showing you that there is a report definition. Please take care of it. More like a warning. It's like a moderate warning. Technically, if you see, this is also a guardrail warning, but it is showing in a more intuitive way from the developer assistant. Mostly are informational warnings. I don't have any severe warning yet. I do have one moderate warning. So guidance is all about kind of warnings. And then if you go to the knowledge, there you will find a lot of details about what you are working. Currently, I am into the App Studio, so I am having the App Studio overview. Let me go to a case type and then let me go to the approval flow. Now, if I check the knowledge, it just changed automatically. You see here, it is sharing some knowledges on the approval stage, like how you can configure the approval. If I go to the collect information, then automatically it changes. So it basically gives you some details. If you are a fresher, definitely it can help you. You don't want to go to community Pega and check or ask some questions at different places. You can very well use this to get some knowledge about what you are actually doing. And the third is on the work. Work is mostly the agile integration where you can connect to different agile workplaces like Jira or service now, and then you can integrate and manage all those stories, bugs and feedback from here. This we already know, it is already an available existing feature that is just plugged into the developer assistant. And finally, you have some checklist where you can control what type of task you want to perform. Definitely when you are developing some application, Pega has this application security checklist that you can very well look into. Application guide you have, and if you are making some integration with the Agile Studio, you also have some checklist which you can look into. So developer assistant is more about having these 4 tabs, giving you some kind of assistant when you do some development in the App Studio. And next is very small change. We already know that in App Studio we can do some kind of configurations, and there currently you can also use some decision trees. What I meant here is currently I am now into 8.7, not 8.8, it is 8.7. And if you go here under the configuration where you can find it from the settings, you can create configurations from the App Studio, and there the default value it can load from different options, like it can be constant, it can be constant per production level, or it can be from a decision table. Now with 8.8 you just have another option to use the decision tree. That's very simple. As you see from 8.8 we get an additional option, a decision tree, a very small change, but this also comes with 8.8. So the next is on the case management update. So in the case management update, what we get is a prediction widget. We already know that in a case 360 view, we can have different widgets, right? The followers widget, the adding attachments widget. Similarly, we can also have the prediction widget that uses the process AI to predict the outcome. Let me show you how to add that. Since I haven't covered anything about the process AI, I hope you know little basic on that. The first is like you have to configure the prediction for your case type. So I've opened the client's records, go to settings, and there you will have an option of prediction. So you can define predictions for your case type. Let's say for example, you can say like how frequent an SLA can be mixed to a case. You can define some kind of predictions, and then using the prediction model, you can display the predictions for each case. Let's say I have added a prediction here. Now if I do a save and run, I'm just going to show you how to use the prediction widget and just create the case. So once you create the case, you will be into the case view, and here you can see the different widgets that are currently available. To add a new widget, you can easily design from the App Studio. I hope you already know this. If you are using the App Studio, you can go to the design. I just want to update the work area, so I'm just going to the right work area place, and if you scroll down here, I'm into the py case main inner, and then you have 3 utils currently, right? One for the related case content, case followers and stakeholders. If you want to add the prediction widget, you can add it in 8.8. So go here and then you can add this prediction widget inside your case 360 view widget. And once it is added, you can also easily edit the section to include your own prediction which is tagged to the case type. I'm not going to go explain in detail about how to use the case prediction, but I'm just saying that with 8.8 you get the widget that can display the predictions for each case by using the process AI. The next is on the Constellation application changes. Also remember that with 8.8 now the Cosmos React is named as Constellation Design. It is not like Cosmos React, it's going to be like Constellation UI. Already we have this Constellation in 8.7, but it is totally a different one. Like you have a different system, the Constellation service, which can be run even in your local machine to provide the UI to any front-end technology. Now this Constellation, the term, it also includes the Cosmos React part. The DX API version V2, it also gets included into this Constellation design. Don't worry if you are totally new to Constellation. I will provide some links where you can also go through to understand the architecture of the Constellation service. With 8.8, there are a lot of changes regarding to the Constellation applications. You can see first is case prominent actions button. We already know that if you want to take some actions on a case, we always go to the other actions button, take some actions, right? Sometimes those may not be prominent. It is always hidden under the other actions button, right? With 8.8, you can also define some prominent actions so that it can be visible outside of the other actions button. The next is you can also save a task. We already know that in a traditional application, you can always use a save button to save the changes and then you can submit at a later point of time. Similarly for Constellation application also, now you can save a task which is already in progress and then you also get the get next one. Don't think that it is already available like that, because Constellation is again a new UI technology. So Pega has to rebuild, or it needs to introduce all the available features that are already existing into this new UI technology. So that is why you find Get Next Work is also getting included into the Constellation in 8.8. Now let's move to the next topic. It is on the data management update. In the data modeling, there are a lot of changes. The first main important change is many-to-many relation. So what I meant here is, let's take the Climbs app application. Climbs app, let's say the Climbs records, they have two customers, myself and maybe my partner. There can be two customers, and customers can have multiple policies, right? If I am the customer, I can have multiple policies. Similarly, the other way around. One policy can have multiple customers. There can be like a family policy where all the family members can be included into the policy. So there is always many to many relation. And currently in a Pega data model, you don't have an option to use the many to many, but with 8.8 you get that option. I will show you how to use that. But before that, let's also look into other data modeling stuffs. Improvement on the embedded data fields. So when you use the embedded data, there also you see some improvements. And finally, you also have an option to occasionally copy the data from a savable data page. I'm going to show you everything by going into the case data model. Let's see that. So here I am into the Climbs records case type. Now I go to the data model and try to add a new field. First, let me show you the many to many relation. Let me just say it's going to be customer list. And then in the type, let's select something like a data object or a case reference. Let me use a data reference. And then you get an option here, single record, list of record. These two are already available, but with 8.8 you also get many to many. As I already told you how the relation can be established between many to many, customers list to the policy list. So here what you are going to do is, you are going to link the customers. So you can give the name as customer list here, and then to which data object you are going to link. I'm going to link it to the policy list. Currently I don't have the data object, so I'll just quickly define it. I'm going to say policy list and then go OK. Now you see the link object name is policy list. Let's quickly create and see how the property is defined. So if I say submit, now what Pega will do is it will create a new property, right? Let's see how it gets created. So I see a new property already got created. Now let me open the property and check how the property is referring. As I can see, it refers to a data page. It refers to another link object. You can see the class also. This is my organization for now, application, and the class is link. So it created a concrete class which can hold the link references. Just think that for a data work attachments where you can do some attachments per case, right? There will be some link table. Similarly, you also get a link instance for having a link between two separate objects. This is just a new feature. You just need to know about this many to many and try to explore. If you have some requirement, very well you try it. You can very well embed this into the user interface by using the many to many. I will also provide some links through which you can understand what is many to many and how to use it in a section. The next is about a lot of changes were done with the embedded data. There also I will provide some links which you can go through. And finally, we also saw that for a savable data page, you get an option whether you want to attach it with the case or preserve it with the case. What I meant here is, this is under 8.7 version, my local host 8.7 version. So here, if I go to query, if I use some savable data page, let me give the data page here. I have the savable data page under fraud watch list. If I give this option and go to advanced, you don't get an option to disable to copy the data from a savable database into your case. So it means like all the savable data page data will always get persisted within the case. But with 8.8, this will be enabled. If you use the savable policy list in 8.8, then you get an option, use that or not use that. By default, it is enabled so that the data always gets attached to the case, but you can always disable this option. So this is all about the changes which you get with the data modeling part. And then you also have something with the Constellation application changes. The first is on the address fields. So you can include the address into your view, and then Pega can automatically present some fields that are related to the specific address. For example, if I use the Netherlands address, then I can give the fields that are necessary for Netherlands address, like zip code is the main thing for that. And similarly for US, you can have different views, and dynamic address fields can be used in the Constellation application. And the other two things are like with the APIs and the objects, you can perform the CRUD operation. Links are below. Now let's talk about the important integration updates. The first main update is with the repository, the Microsoft Azure repository, where you get an additional option to use the data lake storage, the Gen 2 data lake storage, which you can use to store the artifacts into the Azure repository. In the earlier versions, we always have the blob storage, but with 8.8, you also get the other option. Let's quickly check it out. So here I am into the Dev Studio under the repository. I'm just going to quickly create a repository. Make sure you have the repository administrator into your access group, and then just do a create and open. There we can use the Microsoft Azure repository type, and when you use this option, you get two types of storage, the blob storage as well as the data lake Gen 2. This option is only available in 8.8. So if your application into the Azure cloud and if you want to use the high performance storage, the data lake storage, now you can very well use this option from 8.8 so that your file listeners can go to there and then listen for the file into the location. And also one more additional thing is, before you don't have this OAuth 2.0, you always need to provide the account key, which is a little bit low security side, but with OAuth 2.0, you can provide some higher security by using the latest OAuth layer into your repository connection. And the next is about the Microsoft Graph protocol, which you can use for the Microsoft email accounts. This was introduced in 8.4 so that we don't use the SMTP protocol. Instead, we use the Microsoft Graph protocol. And now with 8.8, you also get some additional security features. You get the email signing as well as the encryption that you can configure when you want to send out an email from the Microsoft Graph protocol. Let me quickly create an email account and show you. If I go here and then try to create a new email account, just create and then select the Microsoft Office 365. Then you get this option Microsoft Graph, which is from 8.4. When you use the Microsoft Graph with 8.8, you get this option of message signing. So you can use some key store instance to sign your message. And the final thing is about the OData or the open data. You can connect to some REST APIs that are specified under the OData. So you can do it from the App Studio, but you have a restriction that you can use only the GET method. As we already know that Pega already provides an option to perform the REST integration from the App Studio. Now you also get a new thing. You can also connect to OData. Some of the organizations, they started to use this OData, and now Pega provides an option to connect to that. Let me show you how to do that. If you go to data objects and integration and try to define a new data object that can source from a different system, just go to next and I will say maybe create a new system. And when I choose this option, before you get this REST service where you can use the REST method, you can have different methods like get and post and then connect to that. And with 8.8, you also have the OData. With OData, you just get the get method where you can connect to OData REST APIs to get the data. And the next is on the reporting updates. In the reporting, there are a lot of changes done, especially on exploring data using data visualization as well as some dashboards. I'm going to show you straight away. So here I am into the App Studio. I'm just going to use the explore data. Make sure you have some case or data types ready to explore the already created data. The data loading is taking too much time. Maybe quickly I will show you what you get from the reporting. If you go to this link, which I also provide in the description, you can find what are the new features you get with the reporting. The main thing is like you get some unified insight on the data. Like with the data, you can play around, you can get different types of input, and then you can visualize the data in a different way. And you also get some dashboards on those insights, and you get some promoted filters. This is just normal one which you always get from a normal Pega application, and this is also now applicable to the Constellation applications. And you also get some sample values for each of the field. As you can see, case ID has some order ID. So little improvements were done on the reporting side to improve the user experience as well as to make it more easy to configure. And condition builder enhancements, field searching improvements. There are a lot more stuffs which you can easily look into. Let me quickly create a case. At least I can show you the dashboard. If I give a save and run and then create, I get it into the preview mode. Now if I go to the dashboard, yeah, I see the insights here, right? I see some data which I can modify on my own. I can also do some kind of personalization with that. And then I also get some charts. So these things can be customized. So what I meant here is with the new reporting, you get new charts and new way of representing or visualizing your data. Please spend some time to explore on this. The next is on the security update. If you look at the security update, there are three main things. First is we get the usage of TLS 1.3 version for the outbound connections. The next is on the SAML SSO. So you get different options. You get some enhancement for the service provider settings. And the third is on the OIDC Connect SSO, the OpenID Connect SSO, where you can also use the JWT token to use it for the authentication. Let's quickly check few of the things. So here first I have just created a simple SAML SSO authentication using 8.7, and you can see these are the configurations that are available till 8.7 for the service provider settings. Now if I go to 8.8, I already created the service, and there you will find some additional configurations. So Pega enhanced this so that it can also configure, or you can also provide some additional configurations which you can do in the service provider. Like the main thing is on the ACS information location. It can be a location or it can be an index. And you also get this block, the user attributes configurations. I will explain these things in a separate video on the 8.8 SSO authentication, the SAML authentication. But for now, just understand that this has been enhanced in 8.8 version. And the next is about TLS 1.3 version. If you just open any of the connector, the outgoing connector, there you will find the secure protocol configuration. And there you now get the option to use the TLS version 1.3. Always the higher version is highly secured version, and Pega also deprecated the lower versions. So if you want to use TLS 1.3 version, if the service provider, they can accommodate that. And if you are bound to use that, you can very well use the TLS version 1.3 from 8.8. So next is on the user interface updates. In user interface, there were a lot of changes that are categorized under the Constellation application and the traditional UI architecture. Not much changes, but small changes. I will also provide the link in the description where you can look into. So it is not something very complex. So I would ask you just go through that and understand those things. Most of the changes that comes with the Constellation application. And the final thing, the very important thing, the deprecated features. Pega is going to deprecate their support for the VM based deployments. Mostly these VM based deployments will be like an on-premise deployment where you deploy it into some WebSphere or WebLogic servers which are on on-premise data center. So Pega is asking us to move towards the containerized platform. It means like you have to containerize or you have to use the Docker image, and then you can run it either into the cloud or any kind of orchestration platform. That can be also in your on-prem. But only thing is like it deprecates its support for the VM based platform, and the deprecation it can hold till 8.9. So Pega gives us a hint that the next version is going to be 8.9, 8.10. It's not going to be Pega 9 version. So definitely 8.9 and 8.10 is in the roadmap. And this deprecation is going to stay till 8.9. And from 8.10, Pega is not going to support. So Pega is just going to provide you some Docker images which you can use it to run it under AKS, EKS, whatever platform you want, you can very well use it. It's like more we are going into the cloud modernization, which every organization is pursuing. So I would recommend you to learn some courses on the Docker, Kubernetes and stuff. That is really going to help you with future Pega development. And the next thing is the most expected one, deprecated support for the embedded services. We already know that Pega is holding the Elasticsearch, the Kafka, everything is embedded into the Pega's package or into the Pega server in which Pega runs, right? Now, if you take a lot of organizations, usually they will have their own Elastic server, they have their own Kafka server. But for a Pega application alone, we are not bound to use the external servers. There are some ways where we can connect to external services, but by Pega's out-of-the-box build, they have it little bit tightly coupled. We want to have the servers also into your Pega servers, the same Elasticsearch or Kafka. So that adds a redundancy, that adds some maintenance overhead. Also, you get some kind of performance issues. Now, Pega recommends us to externalize those services. You don't want to have it as an embedded service, but externalized service. And so now the support has been changed from standard support to deprecated support in 8.8, and from 8.9 it's going to be no longer supported. So definitely you have to use the external services. So if you are using in your organization, very well you can think of that, you can plan it in your roadmap so that you start using the external services, especially for the Kafka or the Elasticsearch. So these are the things I want to cover. And maybe one small thing, if you search for any Pega articles currently in Google, there is some kind of search index problem is there. So most of the documents are not getting redirected correctly. Let me show you quickly. If I just search data flow Pega and then try to go to your documentation, what it says is it's going to throw me error saying that page not found, because all those documents were archived and it is into different server. It is not into docs pega.com, it is into docs previous. I'm not sure why Pega really does that. It could have maintained it, but if you want to go to the previous document site, what you can do is just use creating data flow, go to the previous document site, and from there you can search it. I hope the reindexing and redirecting will be already taken. It's going to take place soon, as I read from one of the message that it's going to take place soon. Then you will not have the broken links, at least for now. So you have to do few more clicks to get to the right data. So here you see now I am into docs previous Pega. Under here you can find all your articles. I hope you like this video. If you want to find more such videos or more such lectures, you can visit my Pega Masterclass. I'm already started to add some additional lectures to the Pega Masterclass. You can find it in Udemy as well as my self-hosted platform. So I would ask you, if you have not enrolled, kindly enroll and then have a happy learning. I'll see you in the next video.